All right, we're going out to go make some money. You. Okay, so every helicopter is going to have a lot of different configurations as far as like radios and buttons and switches, but pretty universally, every helicopter is going to have the controls in common. So we got down here the collective. This basically changes the pitch of the blades outside collectively. So this is basically your up and down. You also got this guy, it's called the cyclic. It changes the pitch of the blades in its cycle of rotation. So that's like your forward, backwards, your left, right, your roll. And then there's a set of pedals down here. And that controls the pitch of your tail rotor blades. So that's controls what we call our yaw. So when we're in a hover, if we want to turn left or right, we'd use our pedals. So that's a brief overview. Just helicopters in general.
So this is the back of the helicopter. This is where we do all of our patient care. On the way to a facility, myself, another RT, and a nurse will be sitting back here, and we'll be making a plan on how to treat that patient based on their weight and their diagnosis and our list of protocols. And then once we're on our way back, the patient will go here, and we have a slide-in sled for our isolette or our stretcher, depending on if we're getting a neonate or a pediatric patient. And whoever is taking care of the patient is going to sit here. And the reason is that patient's going to be right here, and then the other person is going to sit here, and this leaves an open seat. That could be for our EMT if we need an extra set of hands, or if it's a really bad kid, a fellow. And then in the front, we will have our pilot, and sometimes if the weight allows us, we'll take a parent. This is all of our equipment. So we come prepared for almost every situation. We have continuous breathing treatments, a ventilator, a vent bag, a med bag, an oxygen bag, and this is our procedure bag. And we can do almost any procedure you can think of with that bag. And then we have all of our pumps and our suction. This is our med wall. So it has all of our oxygen, our air, and anything you can think of, we carry. We're literally an air ambulance.
Whatever.
So I have some questions for you. We polled some students. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go for it.
All right. How long does it take to learn to be a helicopter pilot?
So typically there's two ways. You can either go the military route, which takes a little bit longer than the civilian route, but helicopter pilot school is basically like being an electrician. It's a trade. So you pay for it just like a college degree. Typically takes about a year to complete training if you're a full-time student.
Okay, how much does that cost?
There's FAA minimums, and then there's what it typically takes to complete your certificates. So minimums, you could probably get it done at 55 grand, but typically most students, it takes about $100,000 to complete school.
Are you medically trained?
I have no medical training. I'm 100% responsible just for like the safety of the helicopter and flying it around.
How fast do we go?
Our helicopter will go anywhere between 140, 150 miles an hour. We can go either slower or faster depending on depending on winds.
Okay. Can a helicopter pilot fly any helicopter?
That's sort of a tricky question. Typically, if you're trained on flying that particular model, yes. It's not like it's not like your cars where, hey, if I got my license, I can drive a Ford Civic or Honda Civic and then hop in a Ford pickup truck. You don't need any certification for that. But to fly commercially and do what we do, typically it'll take anywhere between 5 and 10 hours worth of transition training.
How many years does it take for you to be able to fly like a medical crew versus tours or something?
Yeah, so typically the civilian route, I can only speak from my experience. You'll do about a year's worth of helicopter flight school, get all your certificates, and that'll get you to the point where you're a flight instructor. You can teach other people to fly. You can be a flight instructor until you build enough hours to qualify to the next level, which would typically be tours. There's some other routes you can go, but typically tour pilots, you need about 1,000 hours worth of experience to get hired. After the tour phase, there's a number of different routes you can go, but to fly medical crew, most insurance requirements and most company policy is either 2,000 hours for VFR or good weather, and then 2,500 hours of IFR experience or a little bit bad weather.
Because you're certified to fly a helicopter, can you fly a medical fixed wing or a fixed wing plane?
No, you cannot. The airplane or the fixed wing, they call it, and the helicopter is two different certifications.
How far can our helicopter go, range-wise?
Yeah, our particular helicopter, let's say calm winds, safely with our fuel reserve, about 250 miles.
Cool.
Yeah.
What happens if an engine quits?
In our case, since we're twin engine, take a sip of coffee and keep on flying, looking for an airport. We're pretty fortunate. It's a little bit different story with a single engine aircraft, but.
So can we land anywhere if needed? What do we have to look for to land if we can't land at an airport?
Yeah, if we can't land at an airport, we're fortunate enough to where if it's big enough for the helicopter, we pretty much can land wherever we want. There's guidance given in different companies, but typically it's about 100-foot by 100-foot area that you'd like with no obstacles.
Cool. Besides flying your med crew like us, how do you help us out?
Oh boy, yeah. Most pilots make pretty good pack mules, so we haul gear, help out with the stretcher, kind of just small stuff, help opening and closing doors. That's the vast majority. Wrangling parents, unruly passengers.
And we appreciate it, but what jobs out there besides this with your pilot license?
Yeah, so after you get out of the tour gig, in the civilian world, there's you can branch off into all kinds of different stuff. The most common, I'd say, like firefighting, dumping water on fires, the news helicopters, EMS obviously is popular, agricultural work, so crop dusting, tuna boats, trying to wrangle in fish, oil and gas is big, taking guys back and forth in and out of the Gulf to the oil rigs is popular when oil's expensive as well. So those are pretty much cover it for the big major helicopter industries.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to tell us that we didn't ask about?
Oh boy, I don't know. We do it all for the fame and fortune. That's really
Talking about fortune, is it worth it?
Definitely, 100%. Show up to work, feel good about what you do. Makes it easy. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.